Reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network. You're listening to Crowfall Reporter on the MMO Reporter Network. Brought to you by Doghouse Systems. Choose your weapon with Doghouse Systems. And by Audible. Go to audiblepodcast.com/MMO Reporter to get your first month free. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Crowfall Reporter. This is episode 9. I'm Chris, and as always, well, not quite so always, but as of 2 seconds ago, I'm joined by the ever so wonderful Matt. Hello Matt, how's it going tonight? Welcome back.
I am not dead.
That is fantastic. That's better than how you felt last week, which was mostly dead.
Yes. Yeah, and that's been going on for quite a while. Most of my family managed to get whooping cough. It was fun.
That sucks. Bill,
Yes, it does.
You're here as well. Are you feeling under the influence of the coughing of the whoops?
Not even a little bit. I may be under the influence of something, but certainly not whoops.
All right. Happy to be back. This is our most regular show that we've had in several months with surgeries and injuries and illnesses and all that sort of stuff. So we are happy to be back. And have we ever got some news? And we want to get to it. But first, let's talk about what we've been doing in the world of gaming. Matt, what's been keeping you busy?
I literally have not been playing much at all. I think I've done half an hour of Elite Dangerous, and that's been it.
Woohoo!
I've been trying not to die.
Elite Dangerous is good. That's a good start. Good. Bill, what about you?
I was going to say Elite is really like, basically it's like chicken soup for video games.
So true.
Mm-hmm. So, for me, I've been dosing myself regularly with Guild Wars 2, and I finally, in something that's at least PvP adjacent, I've actually started playing Rocket League online and did not embarrass myself.
Sorry. Say that again?
Online against other humans. I was not the only human in the game.
Okay, are you shitting me right now? You actually went online in Rocket League?
I did.
Wow. Bill, I have to say I'm impressed.
I am actually too. I determined that I have a little bit of a nose for the net. But I'm terrible at defense, and nobody appreciates me at that end of the field. But I was actually able to pot a few goals and enjoying it. It's good, and it is something that we're going to have to do as a prep thing. Rocket League's it's cheap game. You can go out and get it, but it's very much a teamwork dependent game. Like, you have to know, it's not even enough to just have voice chat going. You need to be able to see what your teammates are doing. You have to react instantly to how they're doing or what they're doing and everything. It could actually be a Crowfall warm up for us until we actually start getting some beta access.
So what you're saying is we'd be terrible at it if it's a teamwork based game, right?
We would be terrible, but we'd enjoy it.
That's true, and it is teams of 3, so we could go in.
You can even play teams of 5, which are just chaos. I was playing 3s though, and it was pretty good.
And how are you finding? Are you doing it mouse and keyboard or controller?
Oh, controller. Okay, you can't. Yeah. Mouse and keyboard is just
I was
wrong.
Going to say, I'll bring my Xbox 360 controller down and use that.
That's
awesome.
Exactly what I've been using. Yeah.
I'm so proud of you, Bill.
I know.
So proud of you.
Coming out of my shell. It only took me 40 years.
Not quite yet. You've still got a few months and a year.
Yeah. It's like Groundhog Day. I'm just poking my head out a little bit.
All right. As for me, I played some Lord of the Rings online, and I've been in Black Desert online. Actually, I had access for the Head Start, and I just did not get in at all into the Head Start. Was just too busy in real life, and so I came in afterwards. And holy cow, that game is made for AFKers. There's so much that you can set the game to do for you, and it doesn't have a kick timer. So you can be in the game forever. So I was fishing I set my guy fishing, and I must have been fishing for 5 hours, and I was nowhere near my computer. Nowhere
Wow.
near. Didn't catch much, but still, it was very interesting to be able to do that. And that's one example. There are tons of other examples, but the saddest part of my couple of weeks here is that I haven't done anything PvP-ish. I just haven't had time. I've been covering Black Desert and doing some Lotro stuff, and just everything else has sort of fallen by the wayside in my return to work. I believe the last time we recorded, Bill, was right after I had returned to work, and now we're a couple weeks later, and or right before I returned to work, wasn't it? I was just about to return to work. Anyways,
Yes.
yeah, now I'm back to work and I'm exhausted all the time, so I haven't had a chance to do that. Hopefully soon. More Crowfall playtesting too, hopefully as well. I can jump into that. So that is it. That's what's been keeping us busy. Let's move things on to the news in a second. But first, we want to mention our patrons over at patreon.com/MMO Reporter. 31 of my favorite people. Thank you very much to our patrons. Please go check that out if you'd like us to keep the metaphorical lights on, and if you'd like us to expand on what we're doing in the network. Everything that you do to support us allows us to devote more time to the network and to shows like Crowfall Reporter. So please go check out patreon.com/MMO Reporter. And now it's time to move things along to the news.
So we had a little bit of news that happened in the world of Crowfall this week. We had a new archetype announced, or not announced, but rather fleshed out.
Mm-hmm.
We got all kinds of details on the Ranger. We got some UI details showing out the button layout or the attack layout for the Ranger, as well as a breakdown of the powers that are going to be there for the Ranger right off the top. And before we even get into the hairy details of everything, just so you guys know, this is my class. This is happening. The Confessor, the Knight, the Legionnaire, the Champion, they are just dim memories in my Crowfall lust. Everything is focused on the Ranger in my mind now.
And after our discussion earlier, I will concede it to you because now that I know that there is no aim assist whatsoever, I won't be able to hit anything.
That's all sorts of funny.
Yep, I'm not even going to be aiming. I'm just going to be throwing arrows and seeing what I hit. That's the most important thing. With just sticks flying everywhere. That's going to be me.
That's funny.
So, anyway, quick and dirty details. So the Ranger is the first ranged physical archetype. Obviously, the Confessor is very good at throwing fire, but fire is energy and not physical. So now we've got a little bit more in terms of projectile physics to deal with as far as the Ranger goes. So I know there was a few in the Confessor that were physics based and that kind of thing, but every attack from the Ranger is going to have velocity and lifespan and everything like that. So this is a new thing. This is also the first class that's going to have an ammunition resource. So you're going to be carrying around a finite number of arrows as we go along. We talked a little bit about that last week. That's not terrible, but I'm still sketched out about that. That if there was one thing that sketched me out a little bit about the Ranger, is the notion of having to carry around gallons and gallons of arrows everywhere I go. So
you just need like your own personal ogre bringing a barrel of arrows around everywhere that you go and kind of just thumping around, thump, 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 thump. And
well, that just means we know that fletching and arrow making is going to be a crafting ability in the game.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of ogres to carry my arrows around, Matt.
Yes, Bill. What are you implying?
Oh, nothing. I thought we could make a great team.
Wait, what? Yeah, you know what? Yeah, not gonna lie.
That's an inside joke for those of you who haven't seen our PAX coverage. Matt does have a nickname, Matt, which is Cart. For the last two PAXs, Matt has been our production assistant because I haven't been able or allowed to lift anything with my upcoming hernia surgeries after that. So Matt was kind enough to be our cart as we brought all our gear around PAX, and do more than that. But he was a wonderful helper. So that's
Me carry heavy things.
I do. My backpack is so heavy at PAX. Holy cow!
So we'll discuss some arrow cart rolls. We'll see what happens here.
Sounds good.
So anyway, so as Matt mentioned off the top, there is no aim assistance, so rangers are going to have to actually aim their shots and actually hit things, which is kind of an exciting prospect. Like, this is almost adding. It'll be interesting to see how this shakes out with actual gameplay. If it's going to have a little bit of an FPS type dynamic to it, where you're going to have to aim manually with the mouse at the same time while you're using the mouse to execute attacks and everything like that. So it could be a little bit more
if you have to lead
clicky
targets.
and twitchy. Yeah.
Oh.
So that could be interesting. It'd be interesting how they balance the damage for that. Because obviously you're going to have some excellent rangers out there that know how to lead targets, that have aim hacks installed, or whatever you want to say.
Not that they have
Wait,
skill.
that's a thing?
They're going to hit targets a lot and they're going to hurt, whereas most regular humans are going to miss a lot. So there's got to be a kind of a balance point in there where you account for the people that are only moderate rangers and that still want to actually have some kind of effect on the game, and the ultra elite that if they're playing essentially the same sport that these moderate rangers are playing, they're going to be super powerful. So there's a balance in there somewhere, and it's going to be interesting how that plays out.
And again, night it is for me.
Yeah. That really is going to, I think, more than anything else, the skill barrier required with the aim for such an integral part. Yes, the Confessor also has ranged abilities that you need to aim, but this is at the core of the Ranger, and it's not necessarily quite as I think as important. Important's the wrong word. It's not as key of a part of the Confessor as it is a key part of the Ranger.
The Confessor Fireball is AoE.
But you have to
ish. No, but ish.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas the arrow is definitely more precise.
Yeah.
Got to be on your game. You got to target properly.
I don't know. I've missed plenty with the Confessor Fireball. Thank you very much. So maybe that's just me.
I think what Rangers are probably going to enjoy is Legionnaires. Nice big fat horsey target.
Yes.
Hey, I bet you I could hit a centaur.
There you go.
Exactly.
So there you go. You're set. You just are a ranger who only attacks the centaurs, the Legionnaires.
It's my
favorite enemy.
All about target selection. So anyway, another new piece that's being added to the Ranger class is multiple power trays. Key to the Ranger is going to be switching between melee weapons and obviously their bow or their ranged weapons. So they're going to be able to switch back and forth by using T or whatever hotkey that gets assigned to that. So, and that will automatically swap your weapons as well as your ability bars. So that'll be an interesting thing to see coming up in beta. And as we mentioned, the resource class. So this is going to be an energy-based class, similar to the champion, if I remember correctly. No, the champion was rage, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so the champion's rage. Is it the knight that's energy-based?
Yeah. And I think like mana or something for the Confessor, similar stuff.
Yeah. And Legionnaire, just horsepower.
Literally.
That should be what their resource is called. If it's not called horsepower, I'm going to be really disappointed.
Missed the perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and also the other resource obviously is going to be arrows. So as we've mentioned, finite number of arrows to be able to carry around. The bonus is that apparently you're going to be able to carry different types of arrows. So you're going to be able to change your damage types. You're going to be able to possibly have different abilities or different powers based on the arrows you use. We'll see how that plays out. So anyway, so that's the start. The very first thing they talk about, this is all, by the way, coming from the article on the Crowfall website. This is a huge breakdown of everything ranger. So you'll be able to reference this and correct me when I make the inevitable mistakes and everything. But anyway, so they start off with when they start breaking down the powers that are available to the ranger, they start off with the iframe power, which in this case is going to be sustain. Sustain is basically a lifesteal grant for ranged or melee attacks, and that'll just land on whatever abilities you're running. So depending on what attacks you're flinging out there, lifesteal could wind up being a significant heal for the ranger. So I can already see, like, you go through the list, try to keep sustain in your mind, because there's a lot of these abilities that I can picture being mega heals. And not to mention nice little damage boost from lifesteal, because that's the other half of lifesteal is steel. Anyway, passive powers, just a bunch of stuff: retaliation, controlled breathing, wicked intentions, minor powers that didn't really grab my interest. So very similar to the passive powers that are in other abilities. Retaliate obviously is basically like a damage reflect. Controlled breathing is obviously an underwater attack. Oh wait, no, it's not, because there's no underwater in Crowfall.
No water in Crowfall.
So no, that's an energy regen ability. Wicked Intentions is another energy restore, and Sprint is an ability that allows you to turn purple.
Well, yeah, but just a little more detail. Controlled breathing grants energy restoration in ranged the ranged power tray, and Wicked Intentions grants energy restoration when you get critical hits. So the more crits you get, the more energy you're going to get, the more abilities you're going to be able to use.
And Wicked Intentions is also in melee mode.
Yeah.
Right. So, like I said, anyway, Sprint turns you purple, because that's what Sprint usually does. Yeah, so the projectile attacks, the range attacks and everything, they've put a base range on your attack without any modifiers from skill tree effects or anything like that. It's going to be roughly 40 meters. So, which, if you think about that, that actually winds up seeming like a little bit of a short range. When I compare it to other games that have bows as range and that kind of thing, it's a lot closer to like 200, I mean, probably closer to 200 meters. Is what a bow would normally get. And I don't, because so 40 is probably a little bit more realistic when you're talking about like real life, quote unquote, bows and arrows. But that's very short when you compare it to other abilities in other games.
We're going to get some emails about like English longbows or something like that.
Probably.
But you know what? Crowfall is built, as far as what I've played so far, very claustrophobic is the wrong word, but the fights are like, the world seems to be pushing for these fights, at least the Hunger Dome, for these fights that are very contained in these small areas. So I don't see this being a pinprick in the distance that you send an arrow lofting towards. I see this as a, you're using a short bow, not a long bow, that type of ranger. That makes sense?
Yeah. And that's exactly, they're not so much snipers or anything or suppressors. They're really meant to be jack of all trades, and you'll kind of see this coming out in the powers, especially when you compare melee powers to ranged powers.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, before we even get into that, we talk about their conceal ability. Now, conceal is something that's kind of opened up a lot of discussion apparently in the different forums and that kind of thing. Now, for rangers, conceal is stealth minus the movement.
Yeah.
So you basically pick your spot, you conceal yourself, and don't do anything until you're ready to be seen.
Right.
Is it don't do anything, or is it just you can't move?
Can't move, can't attack.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
No,
So
listen.
maybe-
So conceal is a hide. There's hide and stealth, right? But the description of hide is a mode that renders you invisible as long as you remain stationary and does not swap your power tray. So it doesn't say that you can't use abilities. It just says that you have to be stationary. So you might be able to use some abilities of whatever tray that you're in. So maybe if you stay still, somebody comes by, you can maybe use a backstab sort of ability, or some sort of melee ability if you're in melee. But if you hide and you're in range, maybe you could get off an attack, but then you pop out of hide. I think we're still lacking some detail about this. So,
Yeah,
no, lose stealth when you move or attack. So
Yeah.
there you go. Sorry, not reading our own bullet points.
Well, actually, that might have been my own typo because I
Okay.
might have taken that from the stealth description. So yeah, you're
Oh.
right. The actual Ranger article does not specifically say that you get knocked out of hide when you do something other than move.
So you might be able to be a little hidden turret.
Yeah,
that would be
now
interesting.
Moving could be lifting your bow up and starting to shoot.
Could be standing up to do your shot. Like it
could be picking your nose.
Yeah.
It could be anything.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, let's get into what the actual abilities are that the Ranger has, Bill.
Right. So we'll go through this similar to the other ability bars that we've described for the other archetypes, starting with the ranged abilities. So we'll try to blow through this a little bit because obviously we've got 2 sections to work through here. So bear with us. Anyway, so we'll start with just the left click powers. So kind of like the auto attacks. It's basically... you've got the same 3 attack chain off your left click attack,
right?
Which is these are all charged attacks. So this is a little bit similar to the Meteor Purge for the Confessor or the Shield Slam for the Knights, where if you hold, the longer you hold, the more damage you do. The first 2 attacks are like that. The third attack is charged, but it also has an explosive charge attached to it. So when you land your attack, it actually places a little explosive charge on the target that explodes the next time they're hit and does AoE damage, which is just awesome.
That's
sticky bombs.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds like a lot of fun.
That's such a cool notion, I think.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, so and then the right click ability is just a dodge roll. It moves you about 5 meters. I think that's about the same as almost every other defensive ability for every other class, or very similar anyway. The next power, so we're getting into the power bar here. Rapid fire is a press and hold flower too, I guess. Maybe that'll be your special arrows.
This one to Gatling bow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this can fire up to 10 arrows, which is apparently going to be ammo intensive. I can see that. And it almost has like a built-in crit component. Like they want you to crit using rapid fire, because every time you don't get a crit, you have a higher chance to crit with your next rapid fire shot. So one way or another, you're going to be landing some crits in there, unless you're just super, super unlucky.
Now, imagine using your sustain power and your rapid fire.
That was the first one that I thought as far as combos. Now, if you think about this here, so you already think about a triple combo here, because the next ability is ricochet shot, which is almost exactly what it sounds like. It basically allows you to bounce 1 arrow off up to 3 targets that are within. The first target has to be within 6 meters, and the next target has to be within 12 meters. However, if you do hit 3 targets with ricochet shot, you're granted 150% crit damage buff. So imagine firing off ricochet shot, setting off your sustain, and then letting loose on a rapid fire. So you've got your lifesteal, you've got your mega crit bonus, and you've got machine gun power.
Right. I will never get that combo. Ever.
It probably is going to be a difficult one to land, but it's going to feel like $1 million when you do land it.
Yes, it will. It will be all powerful.
I already have plans.
That's awesome.
Okay, so the next ability in the tree is a suppression shot. This is the first ground target ability. Basically, it is launching arrows into the air and suppresses the ability for enemies to use power for 6 seconds while they're in that suppression shot, with diminishing returns applied, so you can't just be continually locked down by suppression shot. But that's huge. Like being able to shut down a group of people for 6 seconds, but not be able to do anything.
Well, and imagine throwing that down, having the rest of your group rush in at that same time. I mean, that's pretty powerful right there.
We're starting.
Bill throws that out, and then I run in with the shield to the face.
Yeah,
with the knight. Yeah.
And then I'm like,
Yeah.
have a hoof, another hoof.
There's some, we're starting to see where these interclass combos are starting to come in. This is actually, well, the first kind of utility class that's really been put out there. So now we're starting to see, or to me, this is the first time that I'm starting to actually have combos triggering in my head and plan. I feel like I need to write this down in secret so nobody learns my strategies. Anyway.
Yeah.
Next ability, Barrage is a channeled area of effect ability. You can hit up to 5 targets, and it's channeled ability for 6 seconds. So that's that. The next ability that's on the bar is Explosive Trap. This is another ground target, and this is the cool one. This is siege abilities on your ranger. So it's basically taking the explosive charge that you got in your regular standard attack and launching that as a siege attack. So it can be a ground explosion that you just set off and everything, and that's fine. The explosions are cool, right?
They're very cool.
So, but if you stick this to a wall, you can either trigger an explosion or it'll auto explode within 60 seconds. So imagine getting a team of rangers finding one spot on the wall to just coordinate on and then just saying 3, 2, 1, fire, boom, wall falls apart.
That kind of ranger I might actually be able to be.
Well, but that's all you do, run around explosive trap, because other than that, you'd be as good at hitting things as a stormtrooper, according to your own comments, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I could stick stuff to walls and knock them down. And that's it.
Stormtroopers apparently have value. They've made like 4 movies with stormtroopers in them. Yes, 4.
4. I believe it's 7.
4.
7.
There were 4.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that's your explosive trap, and then the final one here, which it makes me really happy and probably makes Chris very sad, is the Archer's Stake. So this is an ability where the ranger is going to be able to cause a ice/hunger spike to launch out of the ground in front of them as a impedance to charging legionnaires in specifically, I think, although this is probably meant for champions and other kind of rush attackers. So that's pretty cool. They basically be able to hide behind a big giant spike so that nobody can mow you down as you're mowing them down. So anyway, cool setup there. I could really see that your ranged attack ranger is going to be someone where you're really going to be finding your sweet spot, where you're going to hide, you're going to set up your Archer's Stake, and you're going to basically wait for your moment and really just kind of rain down. I don't see this as being like a running and shooting kind of class. It's going to be a pick your spot, launch your combination, move, hide,
and knock down walls.
Repeat. You're not going to be it's not going to be a constant attack kind of thing. So, excuse me. Anyway, so those are the ranged attacks there. Moving on to the melee powers. Melee powers are set up similar to everything else. They've got a left click attack that's a triple chain there. Fairly straightforward. It's going to be damage attacks with each successive attack having greater physical damage mitigation reductions. So basically damage buffs or physical damage buffs. So the more you get hit by these attacks, the more vulnerable you're going to become, which is cool. So it basically just makes it so that this is the first sign to me that melee powers are not meant to be just accessories, that they're actually there to potentially be valuable. The next one this is actually the cool one, and this is actually one they talked about a little bit. This next ability is called Forest Step, and this is essentially what it's meant to be a shadow step where you step ahead. I believe it was 50 meters. I'll have to double check that, but anyway, it's a step forward or kind of like a teleport that combos into an ability called Tendon Slice, which is a snare ability that obviously slows your victim down. Now, this is something that they've kind of added as a it's something that's kind of come out of the playtesting, because runners are apparently getting away a little bit too easily. So they decided they needed to add some kind of mechanic to be able to slow people down and force them to engage in combat. So, and some of the playtest videos that I've seen, they really bear that out. Like a fight can really be turned into this long, interminable thing if somebody decides that, oh, I don't think I'm going to win, I'm just going to run. And it's not necessarily a winning strategy. It's more like a, hopefully that my chaser just gets bored. Because yeah, so this is good. That you need some kind of mechanic that actually pulls people into attack mode. So this will, or it forces them to kind of engage in combat. So this is this is a good start, and I expect that there's going to be kind of a chess game where other abilities allow you to bust through this, or like other stealthers will be able to just disappear through this, or something like that. But yeah, this will be a nice thing. How about you, Matt? Have you seen? You've obviously watched some playtest videos. Are you with me that it seems like it's just a little bit too easy to create separation and run away?
Absolutely. Not a. I mean, they tried with the chain pull and stuff like that, and it's want to be able to chase people down a little better.
Yeah,
and it really looks like it's tough to do.
Mm-hmm. So this will be a nice thing, like just a distance closer, as well as being able to throw a snare. I hope it's not going to be too easy to just purge that out. So anyway, next ability is called Slice and Dice, and this is really just meant to be kind of a combo split or split combo launcher. It's a damage ability that it launches into either a combo A, which is a second attack called Jab, which does high damage, or combo B, which is Disengage, which is basically a 25-meter backflip, which sounds cool. I mean, I feel a little bit silly talking about the realistic range of a bow being around 40 meters before, and then talking about a ranger that can jump backwards 25 meters.
I looked at that 25-meter backflip and I'm like, there's going to be a tweak somewhere, either more bow range or less backflip, I think.
Yeah, well, no, that's good. I could see that that's there to really put a ranger who doesn't want to be in melee, give them the ability to get out of melee and launch a few range attacks.
Yeah.
So that's something that you do need. I mean, there's nothing more frustrating than being a situational ranged attacker that once you do get into melee, you're basically just stuck and trying to run out the clock and doing things that your character was really not meant to do.
Oh, no, I get it. I understand what they're trying to do, and I think you're absolutely right. I just think those range numbers are going to be tweaked somehow. I can see it happening.
I could see it actually being tweaked up too.
Oh yeah,
like depending on your skill, the skill trees and that kind of thing. I could see you being able to jump back maybe even a full 35, 40 meters and get back to almost your full bow range.
Yeah, for sure. I could see that happening.
So anyway, next ability in the tree is called Cross Slash. This is basically meant to be a kind of a quick melee attack, which applies bleeds. Again, probably another way to be a bit of a runner killer, or allow you to kind of keep whittling down somebody who's trying to disengage from combat. And it also has the more stationary effect of placing an explosive trap, which we mentioned earlier in the ranged attacks, at the feet of the ranger, which has a similar explosive effect to what the ranged attack has. So to me, that almost seems like two different things. The bleed application, to me, is something that you do when you're kind of in a moving combat and you want to make sure that you've got some kind of consistent damage on somebody. And obviously placing a trap on the ground is more, hey, stop, we're fighting right here.
Yeah, when I see the explosive trap at the feet, that almost makes me think of, you place it, you trap the guy who's chasing you so you can get away.
Yeah, the traps are a little bit confusing to me here too, because you really need to be in combat already in order to place a trap down. And I was kind of, when I imagine ranger traps, I was thinking setting up your little fort. So like similar to how you're setting up the archer stake, that maybe you're setting up some other kind of traps there so that you can kind of impede charging enemies, or kind of set up your own little mini base where you attack from. But and maybe that plays out differently and not necessarily in your weapon powers, which would make sense. But we'll see how that plays out. So, and the last ability going through that list here is called a Twin Surge, which is kind of this is your stamina recovery ability. So does that, and then it also combos into another ability called Laceration, which is a 20% damage debuff. So once we get to the end of this, there's really a lot of this is for a utility class. There's a ton of offensive abilities here, very little recovery or buff abilities. Like I'm picturing this as a class that's a good support class for people that are holding the front line in terms of damage, but there's not much that's that they're doing in terms of like buffs or heals or anything like that.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that one.
So anyway, and we're gonna pause right here with a big pause, so when Chris comes back for editing, he can find this pause and then we'll cut it out until he jumps back in, and then he can give a little bit of a wrap up opinion on what he thinks of the Ranger. But of course, he's going to have to be off the phone for that. Who calls in the middle of a podcast? I mean, honestly.
Podcast etiquette.
I mean, it's not like we're not on Twitch here. People should know.
We're big deal Twitch screamers. We had a maximum of 6 people who said absolutely nothing in our chat.
Yeah. Well, that's 6 people. 6 people who know 6 people who probably also know 6 people. We're basically Kevin Bacon the universe here.
We are the Kevin Bacon of Twitch. I knew it.
Yep. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to move on to the next story until Chris is back.
Okay.
These next few ones are going to be a little bit shorter, so.
Is Vancouver winning yet?
Oh, I hope not. I really want them to win, but I also just don't. Of course. Oh, no, it's going into overtime because that's what happens.
So they got a point.
Yeah.
Can't believe I'm actively making fun of you for wanting your team.
It is a little bit weird, and I don't like cheering for my team to lose, but at the same time, it's the only thing they've got. There's nothing else to really hope for.
Heard it here first. A Vancouver Canucks fan actually admitting that they have no chance. First time ever.
They don't. It's not me admitting they have no chance. It's really math admitting that they have no chance.
You, math, same thing.
Oh, Vancouver won, of course. Because why wouldn't you?
So have you haven't touched Black Desert Online at all?
Not even a little bit.
I actually created a character in probably half a dozen of missions.
Oh yeah?
And that character creation, holy crap. Detail ever.
And, in a good way?
Oh yeah, I was pretty happy with how it turned out. Yeah, it just, I probably didn't give enough of a chance, but I don't know. I don't know if it's my cup of tea.
No, it didn't strike me. Like it didn't really. Yeah, it didn't. Yeah. It's not doing anything for me. So
I hear you.
I'll wait for the next big thing. No Man's Sky got a release date. That's probably the closest thing to the next big thing for me.
Yeah, I should really go onto my Steam, buy some of the games that are on it, or start clearing stuff off. Getting a little.
Yeah. No, there's not much I buy brand new these days, but that I wouldn't mind jumping in on day one just to see.
Cool.
Hmm.
Can Chris be talking to?
I don't know. We should have a contest. If somebody can guess who Chris is talking to, then they win the secret MMO Reporter prize package.
I have stuff I can contribute to that prize pack. I have a
Oh,
Steam
there you
code.
go.
I have a Steam code for a game.
Oh my, you're ahead of me then. I just have all the Steam games.
I know. I've looked at your library. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a problem. Steam sales are an issue for me.
I actually was good and didn't spend a dime sale.
I only bought Rocket League actually, so I was actually pretty pleased with how I did too. But nothing. I bought Rocket League, and actually, I got more than my money's worth out of it already. So,
So you win.
yeah, that's good. Happy.
So I swear you, me, and Chris are the only ones in the chat on the channel.
Yeah, for the moment. People will fly in. They'll see that we've got some serious Crowfall stuff happening.
Yeah.
Maybe when Chris gets off the phone, he'll tell whoever he was talking to that that there's this amazing Twitch stream out there. All right. Actually, what we should have done. Oh, no, we don't have a time marker. Oh, yeah, we do. We should have been marking what time our pause started.
Yeah, that would have been a good idea.
So it's 9:47 now. And I sent Chris his message after we finished the Ranger bit at 9:45. So I'm thinking that means we've got to go back to about 40 minutes to delete this bit here. So we'll tell Chris to kind of keep his eyes peeled around 40 minutes when he's editing and peel out this bit.
So how much is Rocket League?
Oh, it's like $15, I think. I don't know.
I've looked at it many times. And
It's a, if you have, as long as you have an Xbox controller, which is pretty important for Rocket League, then yeah, it's one of those things that you should have. It's almost at that Portal level where everybody needs to have it in their library.
wow.
Oh, pardon me, it's at $22 right now. I see it go on sale a lot though, so I got it at $15. I think that's what most people probably get it at, $10 or $15.
Cool.
I mean, it's very simple. It's basically soccer with cars.
Yeah, I've watched some gameplay on it. It looks like a good time.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those ones too that it's good. Like you can sit down. Each game is only 5 minutes, and it's a fairly true 5 minutes. You don't. It's not like football where the last 5 minutes takes half an hour.
Yeah.
5 minutes is actually 5 minutes, and it's good. But it's also addictive. It's really easy to accidentally play 6 games in a row, and there goes most of an hour.
I know games like that well.
Oh, we should totally start a Civ game right now. Chris is just going to be ruined. Take turns during the show. Yeah.
Could we stream that? That'd be.
I can't think of anything less thrilling than streamed Civ. There's probably somebody out there that does it, and maybe they make it far more interesting than I can imagine. But Yeah.
Yeah. Pauses.
Mm-hmm.
Comes.
Well, I don't know, but for the sake of actually getting finished at a reasonable time, maybe we should actually carry on here.
I think that.
Mm-hmm. So all three, two went in, and we're going to tell Chris that it's at 47 minutes that we came back in, and we'll go from there. So 3, 2, 1. So there's our review of the Ranger. Let us know what you think of that. I think it's this is the class I'm most excited about. I know Chris is excited about it too, except he's so excited that he's gone silent. So no, a little bit of technical difficulty there, but Chris will be back relatively soon as he's got those things sorted.
I'm excited to carry your arrows for you, Bill.
Excellent. I've been dreaming of having an arrow cart for my range attackers forever. The dream come true.
I'm your man.
Excellent. So anyway, so in the next news story here, just a little mention. It was a quick breakdown of some tweaks that they're making for this as they're building up the Siege Perilous rule set that's going to be hitting for alpha people probably towards the end of April the end of March, early April is what I've been hearing. So these are some of the things that are being added. One of the things they're adding is what they're calling a dizzy state. This is a state for your character similar to being blind that affects your entire screen layout. It doesn't black it out, but it does make it blurry. And it also is a character state that allows you to be, if you get put into a dizzy state while you're out of contact and you're attacked, you have a high chance of being knocked down. So I think
this is actually a gateway to drinking in the game. Really?
It's a gateway to probably drinking in the game, and also maybe a little bit of combating AFKers is what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
basically.
That sounds actually like maybe an actual real reason.
When you consider that it can take 20, 30 seconds to burn someone down who's just standing there, maybe this is just a way to make sure that when you do come across someone who's AFK, that AFK person is being suitably punished for their AFKness.
Yes, I think that is much more likely than drinking it.
Yeah. So they also talked a little bit about health and damage modifiers based on your archetype. So they've kind of nailed down a rough 50,000 health baseline for each of the archetypes. But the modifiers are going to come in terms of damage mitigation and damage dealing. So tank archetypes, for example, are going to get a 20% bonus to their mitigation types in order to make them tankier, but they're also going to take a 30% damage hit. So your tank classes will not be hitting hard, but they'll be able to take lots of hits. DPS classes, on the other hand, have a negative 20% to all damage mitigation types. So they're going to be squishy, get hit harder, but they have no penalties as far as damage is concerned. Specialists will take no damage mitigation types, but will have a 20% damage reduction on those archetypes, and support classes will have a 10% penalty on mitigation and a 30% penalty on damage. So support classes look like they're actually going to be kind of tough. Presumably their supportiness will make up for that. These are going to be your healer classes, your group buff classes. Like I think the Legionnaire falls under that class. So that's a little bit surprising that how little they're going to be doing in terms of damage, but I guess it's got to happen somewhere. These are not final numbers too. They're going to get tweaked. And
of course not. They say that with every article they do.
So now to me, I'm wondering where this puts the Ranger. Like, do they count as a specialist? Do they count as DPS? I don't think they're a support class, and they're certainly not a tank class. So it'll be interesting to see where they land.
I thought I saw in the article that they were calling them a specialist class.
Okay. So interesting. So that means that they're going to be suffering that 20% damage reduction. So all those heavy arrow attacks that we were talking about that need to be balanced to the point where you have to account for the frequent misses that are going to happen. yeah, that'll be it'd be interesting. I'm jealous of the alpha testers that are in there that are able to play with these numbers and see what it's like, because I just the stat geek in me is curious to see how it all shakes out.
I don't have a stat geek. I would like to see how it works out, but yeah, numbers and crunching and stuff like that, I'll leave that to you.
Yeah. Other than that, they mentioned there's a little bit of buff happening to champion attacks. There's their damage is being buffed in a couple slightly different ways. Legionnaires, they finally got rid of that 5-move chain that they've actually mentioned in a couple different articles now that nobody uses.
Oh.
So they shaved that down to just 3 attacks and added buffs and healing to that 3rd attack. So rather than really fight the tide, it looks like they've just decided to make 3 attack chains the end for Legionnaires. So, and then finally, they're still working on Ranger bow damage, which is meaningless to me because I haven't seen even what the original damage looked like. So, so I'm looking forward to some gameplay videos for Rangers. That's going to be fun. In other news, quick news update on the happenings at Artcraft. The Pandurings article, which is an article written by the developer. Dang it, Pan. I should have really known that, I guess. For some reason, I thought Pan was short for something. Anyway, Pandurings by Pan. We've got they talk a little bit about the new office that they moved into. So apparently they did actually do a breakdown of their original incubator, is what they called it, for Crowfall, which they outgrew fairly quickly. So now they're in a space that they're sharing with another game developer, and showed off some of the walls and office spaces and that kind of thing there that are there. Green is amazing. Green walls. Now you'll have to actually check this link to see what this room is like. I have no idea how. I mean, the good thing is you could never sleep in a room like that.
There is no way. At least it's not like I had a room that was like a minty fresh green.
Yeah.
At least this is a solid, like it's a good green.
Well, this is like the kind of green that I feel like you could just put your phone against the wall and it would charge it.
An electric green. I was thinking more along the lines of a Shrek green, but electric green. Yeah, you're right.
Electric, a little bit of radiation. Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh, yeah, definitely.
Anyway, so new office there, some interesting photos. They introduced a new designer that they've added, Jonathan Pollard. So hopefully we'll see some stuff coming from him. That'll be interesting. And they also announced a new contest coming up. It's a screenshot captioning contest that's listed on Facebook with the rules and everything like that. And yeah, there's some interesting photos to throw your captioning prowess there. I'm gonna have to think of I'll have to come up with some captions. I feel like I've got something.
I'm going to win.
Oh, you've got it?
Not yet, but I will.
Oh, I see. Challenge accepted. So this is really a Bill and Matt head-to-head thing. Nobody else even enter.
Yeah, no.
Doesn't matter unless you're interested in 3rd place, which I guess there is a 3rd place prize. But yeah, Matt and I are apparently going head-to-head on this.
Yes.
There you go. So check that out. We've got another stuff post. They've got a few miscellaneous posts that they've been throwing up this week. They're kind of interesting. But anyway, talking a little bit about the
Siege engines.
Yes.
Siege engines.
Siege engines coming out. They've got the Siege Perilous build is in testing right now. Apparently very buggy still, but is running and exciting. Siege engines are in there. They've got Rangers pretty much done. This is a post that was just from a couple days ago. I believe we're recording on the 9th, and this post was from today, actually. So that's where we are as of March 9th. I imagine they're making progress fairly quickly there. They also announced a few Kickstarter and 2015 backer package upgrades available. Basically, apparently they had a big demand for people who really wanted to just get into the alpha and find a way to do that. So what they've done is they've taken some of the packages that are out there, shaved them down, and put a bit of a 25%, roughly a 25% discount on them to give people a path who have already backed but don't necessarily have the Alpha 2 or Alpha 3 access that they want. So if you've got a package that doesn't get you in that quickly and you really want to, we'll have a link there. The packages start. I think the one that moves you into Alpha 3 and doesn't really include too much else starts at $55. And then there's a couple that will pipeline you into Alpha 2. Oh, pardon me. There's one that starts at for Alpha 3 for $30. Is the cheapest that you can do that if you're already a Kickstarter backer or a 2015 backer. And these are going to be appropriate based on what level you've already got. So you could check out the chart. We'll have a link to that post in the that forum post in there. You could probably also check out the Crowfall store to find these packages in there. Well,
and then we move into we've got a link to an article with a interview with Dave Greco. It is on a German site, but the interview is in English. Just terrible intro.
Yeah, so it's basically just a quick interview with Dave Greco talking about kind of the art direction that's going on in Crowfall, kind of how the designs and the concept art that is coming up. Dave Greco is the one that's really kind of done that stylized painting type art for a lot of the things. Like he's done kind of the some of the images that have gone up to on the lore articles, like the first Crow painting / drawing / sketch, whatever that is. It's pretty impressive, as well as Yaga, the goddess of magic, which was another standout one. It was very cool stuff. So if you're just interested in kind of like the art building and direction and that kind of thing, there's some interesting discussion going on there, as well as some links to the ArtStation pages for Dave and another Crowfall artist, Billy Garrettson. So check that out. It was pretty cool. And yeah. So just before we move on to the next thing here, we just want to throw out a quick mention to our sponsors out there. Yes, the people at the other people that help us keep the lights on here. Let's talk about Audible first. Audible is the premier audiobooks source on the internet if you're interested in getting yourself set up for just listening to a good book in your spare time. Because not everyone has time for reading. Head over to audiblepodcast.com/MMO Reporter. You can sign up for a free 1-month trial, which includes credit for downloading a audiobook. You'll really enjoy it, and it'll help us keep the lights on. Also, check out Doghouse Systems, doghoutsystems.com. You can build your dream machine there. And once you've got your perfect raid all specced out, make sure you check out with the code MMO Reporter to tack on an extra 120 gigabyte SSD hard drive to your purchase.
Thanks, guys, for all that great information, as I unfortunately had to step away for a bit. Sorry about that, guys.
All good. Good.
We have got a discussion on the forums about all the stealth and hide mechanics, which I found really, really interesting. Sometimes just seeing the community discuss things and sort of chew over the new facts that are coming out is kind of awesome to see. So the biggest thing was whether or not they thought hide and stealth should both be total invisibility, whether hide should be sort of a partial invisibility, where if you get close enough you see them, whether it should be like in Heroes of the Storm where it's kind of a blurry outline of someone where if you really look you can see them coming. It was a really good discussion. I think everyone should go check that out. We'll have a link in the show notes. Now, what do you guys think about hide and stealth? Matt, are you thinking that the way that they've done this stealth and the hide, where hide is sort of standstill, total invisibility, stealth is total invisibility, you can move and you have a different power bar. Think of like a rogue stealth, all of a sudden you get backstab sort of thing. What do you think about all that?
As long as hide isn't OP'd to the point where like you can attack like crazy and nothing happens until you get whacked by somebody else, I'm okay with the total invisibility thing. Personally, I'm firmly in camp shimmer, you can see something if you look really close kind of thing for both hide and stealth.
Okay. Bill, what do you think about if it was a bit more okay? And I totally lost my train of thought while I was in the middle of saying that question. What was I going to say? Now I totally forgot. What do you think, Bill? I'll go with that.
I think I know where you were going with that, actually. The invisibility as it relates to at least the hide mechanic reminded me of a big issue, actually, that was prevalent in Dark Age of Camelot. And that had to do with the archer classes having the ability to stealth. And people just hated the notion that you had a character that could move around in stealth, attack at range with really strong, heavy attacks. It drove people nuts. So
I'm one of those people.
Yes, and it's understandable. I mean, to be fair, there was other things that kind of balanced against an archer. If you ever got close to an archer, you could be a cleric wielding a limp noodle and you'd still beat that archer, but that's a whole different thing. I think that the stationary hide mechanic for a ranger is a really good idea for that, because that kind of sets up what I think an archer class should be, which is a strategic class where you find a good spot to get yourself set up, and then you wait for an appropriate moment to launch your attacks, or setting yourself up as kind of a trap class where you attack somebody unsuspecting coming by and really buying yourself some initiative from that stealth. And if you look at the class that the Rangers really kind of falling into the specialist class, they're a bit of a low defense class with reduced damage, or slightly reduced damage. So they're going to be, it's in a toe-to-toe fight, a ranger is not going to be in their mechanic. So I think the hide mechanic is okay with that. As far as the whole shimmer versus invisibility, I kind of like the ability or the notion of shimmer being something that's happening if someone is moving when they're stealthed, and invisibility is okay if you're standing perfectly still when you're stealthed. Because a shimmer, I mean, really, an expert player is going to be able to watch for something like that and detect it, and which really kind of invalidates most stealth abilities. But I also think that you should have to be super, super careful when you're moving in stealth, because, I mean, and again, if you want to inject a little bit of reality into the whole discussion, you should have to be sneaky. So I could see maybe a shimmer, like you wait until somebody's got their back turned, or if you're in cover, that's when you do your movement there, and then you might be a little bit more detectable with that shimmer. But if you're standing perfectly still, I think you should be invisible.
So what do you think about perfectly still? Should you be able to do anything, or is it literally you're standing there and
I think any action should pop you out of stealth.
Okay.
That's I mean, with the possible exception of like maybe taking a potion or eating some food or something like that. I could see those maybe being some things that you could do in invisible mode. But no, as soon as any kind of aggressive attack or even a heal, I think, should bring you out of stealth as well.
Okay, quick question for you. Should you be able to pop hide in the middle of combat?
No.
Heck no.
That was my question. What about how long should the cooldown be? Because let's have this scenario. You've got an archer on the outskirts of a battle, gets nicely set up behind a tree, lets off a shot, and then how long do you have to wait before you can hide, and then sort of then come out of hide and move, and then hide again?
Actually, let's back up one question here about as far as going invisible in combat. If you could find a way to break line of sight, I have no idea how the technology would even work for this, but if you could find a way escaping to like kind of pop behind a tree or a bush or a wall and pop your stealth at that point, that would be cool. And I could see that being a legitimate play
the disengage
mechanic.
Power where you do damage, backflip 25 meters, combined with I could see something like that working where you disengage from the combat, and I totally agree with the line of sight thing. Sorry,
cool.
guys. Yeah,
I'm of the same mind. I was just wondering what you guys thought. Yeah. So that would be cool. to have some sort of clarity. Sorry, I had to finish the thought. To have some clarity of what this is going to happen. I don't think we're going to see exactly what it's going to work like until we get to see the Ranger in game, which I believe is coming with Siege Perilous, the next round post-Hunger game, which I think, did you guys talk about it's in internal testing?
Yeah, it's in internal testing, and the very, very rough prediction for it is that they're looking at late March, early April to see it.
Which is unfortunately a couple months later than we were hoping.
Yeah, they in December they had announced that it would probably be a March thing, and then prior to December they thought it would be a February thing. So clearly slipping, and obviously Crowfall is the very first video game ever to have some dates slip. So that's very sad.
Yeah,
never heard of it ever happening.
Hey,
it's just so weird.
The other thing we wanted to share with all of you was a cool video by YouTuber Frostsword, and I believe a streamer as well, if you want to go check it out, of some recent gameplay testing. The game is starting to look really pretty. I never got in when it was totally gray box, but I was in there when it was much less lush than it is now. And it's looking pretty great. Still, I think having some optimization things. But again, this is pre-alpha, so don't worry about stuff like that. Much smoother. I do believe they're doing some client-side controller now, so you're getting a lot more accurate movements with the characters. And overall, just looking like a lot of fun and something I want to have more time to do, please. Yeah. So there's a little bit of community stuff. If you have any new podcast, website, webcasts, vidcasts, whatever you have, any sort of community stuff about Crowfall, you need to let us know, and we would be happy to mention it in our community segment. Bill, or you know what? Let's do something different. Matt, if people want to get a hold of us, how can they let us know about their fantastic new fan podcast?
They can contact us in multiple ways. They can go to our website, mmoreporter.com. We have multiple Twitter handles to use. The one for our podcast is at Crowfall Podcast. If you want to get a hold of Chris directly, it's at Almazar. If you want to get a hold of Bill, it's at MMO Bill. And if you want to send me a message, which would be awesome, it's at MMO Maddie. You can also check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/MMO Reporter Network. And we are, of course, on the Facebook at facebook.com/MMO Reporter. Let us know what you think.
Did you know that there's a at Adorabill
oh, God.
Twitter account?
Really?
There is.
Was it created when we started Crowfall Podcast?
No. There's also Adorabilly. Yeah, with no tweets ever tweeted.
Yeah, Adorabill is just all about telling you fast ways to lose weight.
Yeah, just saying. Hey, guys, Matt, thanks for recording. It's wonderful to have you back on the show.
So glad to be doing it.
Bill, as always, it is increasingly pleasurable to record with you.
Well, at least it hasn't plateaued. At least it's still increasing, so that's good.
Increasingly pleasurable. And thanks to everyone. We had quite a few people come in and out of the chat room tonight, so thanks for coming out with us and hanging out with us, talking some Crowfall as we go through the news. Thanks to everyone who downloaded the podcast, watched the video on YouTube. We hope that you enjoyed the show. We hope that you come back for next week's show, but most importantly, we hope to see you in game. Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Don't forget to check out all the other podcasts at mmoreporter.com or by clicking on any of the links here. And please check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MMOReporter. Thanks, everyone, and see you in game.